Hey guys, it's the Quarantine Keeper, and this is how to get faster at 4x4. So basically, this video is an overview on more advanced 4x4 methods such as Yau and Hoya, as well as more advanced edge pairing techniques. I use Hoya, so I'll be going into that a little more in depth, but if you want a tutorial on Yau, it'll be up here in a card. So first up, I'll be starting with Hoya and Yau. Hoya and Yau are both methods of solving the first 6 centers and all the cross edges. The reason both Hoya and Yau solve the cross edges is because then you can put the cross on the bottom and all the edges for edge pairing will be in the middle slice and on the top layer, which means you don't have to flip the cube over halfway through edge pairing. And keep in mind, I use Hoya, so I will be covering Hoya in more detail, but I will also briefly cover Yau at the end of this section. The steps in Hoya go as follows. You start by making 4 centers, including your cross color and 3 other centers. You then make all the cross edges, and then you solve these 2 centers, and then you're on to edge pairing. So the first step in Hoya, like I said, is to make the white center and 3 non-opposite centers. So white and 3 centers that are not yellow. The first step in that is to create a center that is not your cross color and not the one opposite of it. So since my cross color is white, I cannot make white or yellow. So I'm going to make red since I have a bar there. And I will do something like this. And that makes the red center. Then I make the center opposite of the center I just made. So I'd make orange. So here's a bar. And here's another bar. And then I join it together like that. I then make the white center, something like that. And then I make the back center. Keep in mind the color scheme, so since the color scheme goes red, blue, orange, green, the back center would be green. So I would do something like this. So that makes the 3 centers we were aiming to make, and then you hold the 2 unsolved centers on the front and make the cross edges. The way you make these cross edges is unique in the sense that you don't do it like you would normal edge pairing. Rather, you insert pieces into the cross like you would in F2L perhaps. For example, I want to insert this orange piece to orange, so I move the orange section of the cross here and insert it like this. The easiest way to start Hoya cross edges is to insert one wing of each color into the bottom layer like you're making the cross. For example, I can insert red and green relative to each other, and then I insert orange like this, and then do D2 and insert blue like that. Then I insert the rest of the pieces by moving the spot they need to go to in this front edge spot and insert the edge using wide moves and U moves. For example, if I want to solve the red edge, I'd move red to the front and insert red like this. I'd then continue to green, so I'd take the edge out like this and insert it into there. Then I'd continue to blue, so I'd do D2 to get blue there and insert it in like that. And then finally I'd solve orange by moving it there and inserting it like that. That's just the easiest way to start Hoya, and there obviously are more advanced ways to pair up edges. For example, if I wanted to pair up this orange piece, I could potentially do something like this. And that pairs it up and then insert it with one move. Another example is if I have a flip piece here, these are generally the worst cases, but I can take this red edge out and pair it up like this and insert it into the cross. But I definitely say the easiest way to start is just insert one wing and insert the other one like that. No matter how advanced you do it, once you've solved 4 cross edges, you do FL to hide these 2 cross edges, and then you just solve the last 2 centers like normal. For example, I can make a bar here like this, and then I can solve the center by doing that. Then I undo the setup moves and restore the cross. For Yau, the steps go as follows. You start by making 2 centers, which is your cross color center and the one opposite of it. You then make all the cross centers and put 3 of them in the cross and 1 of them down here. Then you make all the centers along this axis and insert the cross edge from here back into the cross, and then you move on to edge pairing. So again, I don't use Yau, so I'm not going to be going into it as much detail, but the first step would be making the white center, so probably something like that. Then I would make the yellow center, so something like that. And then I pair up edges along this axis by putting two edges in the M slices and pairing them up like that. Then I insert them in the cross, and remember the order is green, red, blue, orange. So I'd insert this here. Then I would move on to green, since that's there. And remember green, red, so green has to go there relative to red. Then I'd pair up orange, something like that, and it would go opposite of red, so there. And then finally the blues, potentially something like that. And what's important is for this last edge, you don't want to put it in the cross, you want to hide it over here, so like that. Then you create centers along this axis, but it's very important that you don't use wide moves or any move other than U and these inner slices. The reason is because if you do any other moves, it will move the cross edges, which could cause them to get broken. For example, if I were to solve the orange center, I have this piece and this piece. So instead of doing it something like that, that breaks the blue center. Instead, I would do it something like this, and that makes the orange center. And then I would move it out of the way. Then I'd make the red center, and remember that goes opposite of orange. So something like that. And then I have last two centers remaining, so blue would go here, so I'd move that blue bar up there. And lastly, finish it off with this piece. Then once I'm done with centers, I can move this blue cross edge up and into the cross, and that solves the cross and all the centers. Moving on to edge pairing, and there are two main styles. These two styles are 6-2 edge pairing and 3-2-3 edge pairing. The way edge pairing in this step differs from the beginner's method is, in the beginner's method, I would pair two edges up like this, and instead of paying any attention to what the other edges of the cube are, I would just insert a random edge and fix the centers. Then I would repeat that for another edge, like that, and then I'd repeat it for another edge. And it's really inefficient because you're doing a lot of moves and you're only solving one piece each time you do all those moves. In 3-2-3 and 6-2 edge pairing, the main premise is when you pair up an edge, for example, like this, instead of putting in any other random edge in here, I want to put in an edge that will be useful for my solving. For example, since that edge is green and orange, I want to put in a green and orange edge here so that when I slice back, it'll pair it up. Like that. For 6-2 edge pairing, what you want to do is set up 3 pairs of edges here, here, and here. For example, I'm going to set up the red and yellow pair here. Then I'm going to set up the green and orange pair here. And then I'm going to set up the blue and yellow pair here. Once I have those pairs set up, I'm going to slice so that I pair up all those edges. And take note of this edge, that is blue and red. I want to insert a blue-red edge here so that it will get paired up. So, like this. Then I want to do the same thing for this edge. So since this is red and green, I want to insert the red and green edge here. And finally for this one, I'm going to insert the orange and blue edge so it gets paired up as well. Then when I slice back, it'll pair up all those edges. And then I have 2 edges remaining, which I can solve with a slice, flip, slice. To start 3-2-3 edge pairing, what you do is you slice left immediately, and then you create 3 edge pairs like you did before. For example, this is red-green, so I want red-green down here. This is red-blue, so I want red-blue down here. And this is orange-blue, so I want orange-blue down here. Then when I slice right, it will pair all those 3 edges up. Then I do what's called cycles, and this is basically what I was talking about at the beginning. So first I want to create an edge pair like this. There we go. And then when I slice, it's going to pair these two edges up. And what I want to do is take note of what edge goes away here and pair its corresponding edge up down here. Another option is that I can put the edge that corresponds with this here, and that'll also pair up. So for example, this is orange-green, so I put orange-green here, and it would pair up. And then finally do one more cycle, and that'll end up solving the third edge as well. So first I'm going to pair up an edge pair here. Then I'm going to slice and pair up a corresponding edge with this one. And since you solve these two edges, since this is the last one remaining, it'll end up solving itself. And you can solve the rest of the cube like normal, however you would solve a 3x3 with OLL and PLL parity. As for whether you should choose Yau or Hoya, I really don't think there's a right or wrong answer. Most world-class cubers choose Yau, but I tend to prefer Hoya because inserting edges like this, it just seems more intuitive to me than building the edges along the M-slice. Plus, it makes all the centers more efficient, which I find also easier in a solve. So yeah, that's pretty much it for getting faster at 4x4. I will link a tutorial to both Yau and reduction in a card up there, as well as in the description, for anybody that wants to use either of those methods. If you want to see more videos like this, click up here. If you want to see my latest video, click up here. And if you want to see the video YouTube thinks you should watch next, click down here. As always, keep cubing at home, and see you next time.